All right, so I just got back from watching Lilo and Stitch. That is the 2025 live action version of the movie. So I've always been aware of Lilo and Stitch. I actually watched a couple episodes of the cartoon show growing up, and I actually watched the sequel to the animated film Stitch Has a Glitch before I saw the first one. You know, when you're a kid, you don't really care about the order of things. I actually didn't watch the first Lilo and Stitch, the original one, until I was much, much older. So I don't have a lot of nostalgia for Lilo and Stitch, but the one of the biggest memories I have of going to Disney World is going to that Stitch's Great Escape ride, which was kind of scary but kind of cool at the same time for me when I was a younger age. So Stitch and Lilo and all of them have always been around in my subconscious, but I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan, especially when it comes to nostalgia. I never really broke into that scene, but I was always aware of it. So here we are. The Disney machine has once again churned out another corporate mandated live action remake of one of their classics. And this one's not that bad. I don't like it, but objectively, it's not as bad as the other ones they've done. Snow White, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. It's not as bad as those. I'd say it's probably on par with The Little Mermaid, which I remember giving a semi-positive review of, and I think this one will be semi-positive. It's just, there's no way that I would ever choose to watch this movie ever again, because the animated one exists, and it's just so much better. Even though this one isn't that bad, there is a superior version to this movie that is almost the same movie. It's just better, and here it is. You can watch it on Disney Plus. You don't need to go to the theater. So, these movies make money because of nostalgia. People are like, ooh, I remember that. And they go and watch, like, oh, isn't it so cool seeing this all in live action? It's like I'm watching it for the first time all over again. Ha ha, hee hee. So nostalgia is a very powerful drug. And, maybe it's because I don't have a lot of nostalgia for Lilo and Stitch. It didn't quite work on me this time, but none of these live action movies have really worked for me. It's just anyway, what it does well. It does Stitch is still Stitch. It's really hard to mess up Stitch, in my opinion. They got Chris Sanders, the guy who did the voice of Stitch. They got him to come back, and they do a great job. He doesn't look awful like the dwarves did in Snow White. I don't know what they were doing. Stitch actually, he doesn't look uncanny. He looks, basically perfect. Like, this is how, if you're gonna make a realistic Stitch, this is what it would look like. So Stitch is good. The little girl they got to play Lilo, great casting. She's perfect. She sounds a lot like Lilo. She acts like a more realistic version of Lilo. It's good. Honestly, except for two exceptions. The casting is all around pretty strong for everybody. The two exceptions I'm talking about is Jumba and Plinkly, I believe is their names. The big Russian-sounding scientists that create alien scientists that created Stitch, and then his the squirmy, timid little one-eyed Michael Wazowski but skinny-looking guy, Plinkly, and Zach Galifianakis plays Jumba, and in an odd turn, where one of the things they did change is Jumba's a lot more villainous in this one than he is in the original. And I don't know why they decided to do that, especially because I like Jumba in the first movie. He's one of my favorite characters. I like funny Russian sounding people. I think they're funny. But for some reason, Zach Galifianakis plays him, and he's just, I don't know if he's going through the motions or what, but it just wasn't working for me. And also, this weird villainous turn, they got rid of the general security big shark looking guy. He's not in this movie at all. I don't know why, but maybe it's because he's too big. The CGI budget couldn't handle it. I don't know, but they decided to push that, and he even wasn't that big of a villain. He was just kind of a jerk. But here they make Jumba very villainous. Not extreme, like he's not like, Maleficent or Scar, but he's a lot more nasty than anybody ever was in that and original movie, so I don't know why they did that, but I don't know if Zach Galifianakis was the right choice for that. I don't know. It's just it felt off to me. And then Blinkley as well. He's there. He's not as fun. I don't know if it was the voice or whatever, but Billy Magnuson, I think is how I say his last name. He plays Blinkley this time. He's fine, honestly. I just didn't quite vibe with his casting either. I don't, it's okay. But yeah, just some odd choices there. So that's really the biggest standout for me personally. Everything else I have to criticize about this is you can say the same thing about any of the live action remakes, really. It just doesn't do it as well as the animated one. It does similar things. It adds a couple stuff that's relatively kind of pointless. There's a neighbor character in here that's not in the first one. That doesn't add anything to the plot or the story until the end. For some reason, I feel like the older sister, what's her name? Nadia, I believe her name is Nadia. She feels a lot less of a character in this one to me. It felt like a lot more like it wasn't like she was learning the lesson naturally. It felt like a lot of characters were kind of telling her she should learn the lesson instead of her figuring out the lesson on her own. I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again, but that's the vibe I was getting. So, yeah, but everything else is just typical Disney live action stuff. Whenever they are trying to word for word recreate a scene from the original animated movie, it just feels awkward and stiff, and they're just doing it as quickly as possible so they can get on to other things because they know it's not as good, so they're speeding it up. So it's just awkward. I don't know. I don't enjoy these movies. If you have a family that really likes Lilo and Stitch and these little kids that really like Stitch, they'll have a great time with this movie. There was a couple kids in my theater screening. They were laughing at almost anything Stitch did. Like I said, they get Stitch right in this movie. It's kind of hard to mess up Stitch. But, if you are an adult and you like Lilo and Stitch and you don't like these live action remakes, this movie will not convince you that live action remakes are a good idea. You'll probably just sit back and watch it and be like, wow, this is awful. Or you'll be more like me and be like, that's not the worst one, but again, why does this exist? So a bit of an apathetic review from me, but at least Disney's running out of movies to make. I mean, we're getting Moana next year, and then after that, a bunch of all they have left to remake are a bunch of movies no one cares about. Unless they're really desperate and they start doing Frozen, but I doubt it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch.